so excited.
If you tried to quantify the contribution that Tropfest has made to the Australian film industry, I mean, it'd be next to impossible.
What's happening today is enormously down to John's drive. There's a person there that's very good at what they do.
Okay, straight this camera for me, thank you so much.
John's a hustler, like in the best possible way. He's like, why not? Let's do it. Yeah, okay, great.
Beautiful smile, straight to me first here.
He's definitely a showman and he's definitely a salesman, and he knows where the bread's buttered and he knows how to make it look exciting and put some jam on it.
The fact that it started at Tropicana Cafe and has turned into this, 30 years later or whatever it's been, it's a real testament to John.
Here we go. George, how are you?
With all the great movements in Australian cinema, the first sound movies and so on, probably Tropfest has been one of the most significant events.
What John did with Tropfest is create this platform where he could really make, all these other filmmakers, actors, superstars.
And the proof is in the pudding of all the people who have come out of Tropfest. Rebel Wilson, Ash Edgerton, Joel Edgerton, Justin Kurzel.
And then COVID hit, and the next thing you know, there's been no Tropfest for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I was very devastated.
We always felt like there was a little bit of something missing for John because it was so much a part of him and what he had built.
Founder and director of Tropfest, please welcome John Polson.
Unbelievable, what a crowd.
After a 7-year hiatus in which Tropfest had no right to exist anymore, the world had changed too much. Suddenly, and I don't really know how, it rose again.
Tropfest is finally home again.
John walks into any room and people go, who's that? That looks like good trouble.
His innate talent, not only as an actor, but as a director and a showrunner, basically took him out of Australia to probably the toughest place in the world to make it, is New York.
He started in film, but he's really carved himself out a little niche for directing these amazing TV shows in the States.
And there he made a family, and there he made a life, but he was always coming back each year to run Tropfest. He's one of those rare examples where his early life, is tough, and somehow uses it to transcend all of that, and his reaction to that is almost his superpower.
There was like a fork in the road, and he could have easily gone down the path that, many of the people that he grew up with went on, even people in his family. So it was not a done deal that he would be able to get himself out of it.
If a flame is to grow, there must be a glow.
My parents met in New Zealand. They're both New Zealanders.
There's a key.
My mum was a very brilliant piano player. And my dad, he wanted to be an artist. He had a nice voice.
Means too much.
It was an unusual existence, I suppose, compared to what other people had. And I'd say, Mari, what's for breakfast? And she'd sit down to the piano and say, what would you like to hear?
So they met and decided to move to Sydney, which I think at the time was the big smoke in terms of jazz. Had many kids very quickly. It was a lot of fun. They fought a lot, and almost straight away they split up. She was left with 4 kids under the age of 5.
His mother was not really present, and the 4 kids were just roaming around.
My mum had demons. I think she'd had quite an abusive childhood, which leads to a lot of pain, which leads to a lot of self-medication. She was into hard drugs. She was into heroin with needles. That's about as hardcore as it gets. My mom hooked up with this guy who was a drummer, who was a heroin addict, who was a pretty tough customer. It was like, if he wanted to beat you, you get a beating. And my mum was like that too, to be honest with you. It was chaos. It was chaos, yeah.
If you can imagine someone who's on heroin, and the only way you can get attention is to be explosive, you know. So that's what he was doing, you know, to find ways to get attention.
I was very close to my mum all of her life. I saw her as, you know, she was a victim too. Like, it wasn't like she woke up and said, I'm going to beat my kids or I'm going to use heroin. When I was 12, she was put in, you know, mental hospital.
And then suddenly Mari was not around and he had to go live with his dad.
Well, I tried to bring some stability. He wasn't very fond of authority.
And that didn't go super well at school. So I bounced around at a few schools. And then by the time I was 15, I was out. And I don't think I ever really hurt anybody, but I was hanging out with the kids who were breaking into cars and stealing boats. But yeah, no, I got in a lot of trouble. I got arrested many times.
I can remember on one occasion I was in a shop at Crow's Nest and I just happened to be looking out the window and there is John with a friend breaking into a car right in front of my eyes.
He was seconds away from prison, you know, whether it was for stealing or lighting the school on fire or, you know, like he was delinquent. He couldn't find his place inside an institution.
Well, I think to this day, that explosive personality of his is the thing that he's got to have to deal with. You know, it can escalate. It's like all of us. We learn how to, you know, learn our little demons that we've got hidden away, and we try to work with them the best way we can.
I've got this podcast, Invisible Roadmap, where really it's inspired, I suppose, by people like me and John to try and inspire young people like the path is never straight and sometimes it is very challenged. Is there a moment or a person that really shifted your life and changed the kind of, you know, the roadmap of your life?
There's a few. I got arrested for stealing a motorbike when I was about 17, and you get one phone call that all that stuff is true. And I called Robin Gardner. One of my parents' best friends was Robin Gardner, who had just started an agency. One day Robin called and said, hey, do you want to do an audition? And I'm like, what's an audition? So I was literally on my way to prison. I mean, I was arrested. So I called Robin to say, and she told me on that call that I got that play.
And from that moment, he was totally fixed on his career as an actor. It was just completely a turnaround from the sort of delinquent that we knew to a budding actor.
John was lucky enough to be adored and seen at a very young age by directors like George Miller.
From that first time I met that 21-year-old, that enthusiasm on the set, where he was happy to be part of a team, of a family that was doing something and creating something.
I was hoping you could have come to Sydney with me.
Oh, Serge. He wasn't trained as an actor necessarily, but life had trained him for it.
Come on, let's see you give me a go! You bastards!
I think acting gave him the ability to channel this energy that he had stored up.
I ought to beat the shit out of you. Well, why don't you try it?
The light bulb came on. I thought, wow, I can put all this stuff into a place and get paid for it. It's insane.
Well, up your bum.
I think it was a real testament to how art can, you know, transform you in many ways. It gave him a sense of self-worth. It gave him a place to express himself.
You know,
that he was never allowed to explore for himself at all.
Acting saved me and actors saved me, because what also happened was I suddenly was part of a community, you know? It's quite emotional, actually, to be driving around these old streets, which is where it all happened, where I was riding my bike around when I was in my 20s, being an actor, going to auditions.
John used to live with my ex-wife, so I was always a bit like, you know, John Polson guy. Everyone loved John because he was so witty and funny. I was like, he's got one joke, you know. But I don't know, there was something sort of, I don't know, like a little bit of a mongrel dog about him that I liked.
This has never left me, these streets. You know, this is who I am.
I inherited John through the Sydney acting scene, and he was always at the Trop, obviously. We all were.
So I'm here at the Tropicana, where it all started.
The Tropicana was a hotbed of really creative people meeting there every day. You've got dancers, musicians, actors bouncing in and out.
I tried to get out of film school many times. They were like, dude, you didn't finish high school. You're not coming here.
My memory of him is like he was always doing something. Okay, if he didn't have an acting job, well, what am I going to do? I've got to do something. I'm not going to just sit around and do nothing.
I kind of like the hustle. I think I thrive off the energy of it. Maybe because of my background and my childhood, chaos is almost, it settles me down.
He was there having coffee every day with actors and would-be directors, despairing about their chances. And he was the one who said, well, I'll make a little film, just on whatever resources he had.
I made a short film, and it was a mockumentary called Surrey Hills 902 Spring Roll. It was something to do. It was a project.
Give us the money back. Hey.
No,
money back. You could...
Oh, hey. Your first thought is, well, I got to show it to the people who made it.
This room right here was where I put the little TV that night in '93 when I was a lot younger. And it was in that, kind of in that corner there.
I benefited from people not really being able to see it or hear it. And so as a result, I thought it was brilliant. I'm pretty sure somebody else said, hey, we should have a festival, you know? But I was the guy who got on the chair and said, you've got X number of weeks or whatever it was to make a film. And I set a deadline. That was the beginning of Tropfest.
It was just a cool thing to do. The idea of showing up and seeing these films with an audience was inspiring to people that may never have even got off their ass to do anything.
I had no idea if anyone was going to make a film. And 9 people lined up at the desk with movies. And 1,000 people showed up that night to watch them, which was insane.
I remember the atmosphere and the kind of enthusiasm that everybody had. It was so small, it was so spontaneous. And the very next year, the entire street was blocked off.
1 year's free coffee at the Tropicana, plus the coffee machine and 3 kilos of beans.
There's tens of thousands of people in Victoria Street and the road's blocked off and everything, and I'm like, oh shit, this is bigger than I imagined, you know, because I'd never been to anything like it.
From these humble cafe beginnings 3 years ago, the Tropicana Film Festival has taken off.
The Australian film industry have recognised Tropfest as a place to nurture young talent. It's a stepping stone between amateur and professional.
I had no business model. I had no education in this kind of thing. I had no schooling, period. So it took me a few years to realise, actually, there is a way to do this where I'm not paying out of my own pocket and I'm not doing it alone.
Would you please make welcome Dr. George Miller?
Even back then, he had an instinct for it. It's intrinsic to him. It's not something you learn in a book or a seminar or through education.
I think it's the greatest thing happening in Australian film because it's anybody can have a go.
And then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh, it's an amazing crowd. There's I think about 8,000 on Victoria Street and probably more than that down at Rushcutters Bay Park.
I do remember, I think for me it was the Domain, and I was like, this is insane.
More than 20,000 fans of the short film genre crowded into the Domain to see offerings from 16 finalists, all ambitious young filmmakers trying to make a name for themselves.
Okay, in my hand is what's being contested here this evening.
It was something that happened at the right time for me and a lot of young filmmakers that really kicked careers off. There were hundreds of films being made every year, so like, it was encouraging people to collaborate and work together and make stuff.
He was like a benevolent Pied Piper. He was just calling people to filmmaking, and people emerged.
One of the best moments in the whole Tropfest calendar is calling the finalists to let them know they're in. So I'll be making those phone calls today with a couple of the other team members.
John and I, because we both come from really low socioeconomic circumstances, I think one of the things that we're both very passionate about is access.
It's John Polson from Tropfest, mate. I have minions do the bad news, okay? So, yeah, it's good news. You're in. Holy shit. Congratulations, mate. What a movie. I love it. When Tropfest started, you had to get into film school and make a graduate film to get out and to go on to be something. So Tropfest completely blew that model up and said, you know what, if you've got talent, I don't care where you've come from or what you've done or haven't done.
You know, what can you do within 7 minutes that can put you on the map?
You gotta take it, man.
Get your hands off him, mate.
I made a short film called Deadline that John stars in with me for $80.
2 minutes after the deadline, you want to take my film? Deadline? What are you talking about, mate? It's tomorrow.
And I made it in a week, and it won the festival.
The winner is Deadline.
And I think it gave me a confidence that maybe I can do this. And I think just as a filmmaker, like that feeling that the film gave me, the reaction from the audience gave, I think I've been chasing ever since with anything that I make.
Tough year, but it never left my list of finalists. This is what I love, like, you sort of like, this is part of why I do this. You live vicariously through these filmmakers, and it reminds me of, you know, when I was just starting out.
Tropfest helped leverage his career. It certainly, you know, skyrocketed the possibilities.
Ethan Hunt, g'day mate, I'm William Baird, but Billy's okay. Anything you need me to get, move or watch, just let me know I'm your man.
Tom Cruise, I met once or twice because I was very tight with Nicole. And then I got cast in Mission Impossible 2, and we became pretty tight. Went to America, and at the end of that movie, I really had no reason to come back.
Actor-director John Polson is on a high. With a role in Mission Impossible and his first director credit with Siam Sunset, his career's booming.
At that time, I was finishing up Siam Sunset, my first film. So he asked if he could see my film, because he's Tom. He's like, I'd like to send it to LA and set up a few screenings. And I started to get calls like, hey, you know, let's talk.
That's a very powerful voice to have in your corner.
The first thing he did when he went over to America was he worked as a director on Without a Trace. From there, he did a lot of freelance work on different TV shows, Law and Order and those sorts of things. He could see the potential in being a filmmaker, more so than just being an actor.
So on action, she's already back there.
He wanted to be more in the driver's seat.
Okay.
I am directing in New York City. It's incredibly cold. We're on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. GW Bridge over here, and behind me is the crew for Blue Bloods, TV show on CBS over here.
He did a fair few episodes of The Mentalist, so we worked together on that. Part of the challenge of directing, and particularly directing television, is just to keep the energy light and to keep moving, and he's really good at that.
Roll it!
As a showrunner, he's at his best doing that sort of stuff. He's in control of the whole show.
Cut! Pretty good, pretty good. Okay, let's go.
He got his very first film to direct in America, which was called Swim Fan, and he was looking for a casting director, and he was very charming and asked me if I wanted to cast it.
And that's when me and Amanda really, you know, started hanging out and falling in love, and that was it, you know. Our first date, my credit card didn't go through. That's where I was, you know, so it's not like she married money.
John is innately a survivor, and he goes towards what nurtures him most.
Amanda has the ability to control his worst characteristics and to nurture his great characteristics. And she's a very, very calming influence on him.
Fatherhood to John is everything. really everything. And I think that coming from the childhood that he came from, he was determined to not repeat any of the experiences or any of the parenting that he did not receive from his parents.
You know, I'm damaged goods like most people. And all you can think is, well, let me try and step up here and not do what my parents did. But from the moment they came out, I've just been all over those kids. It's really important to me, way more important than any of the other stuff.
He was able to cobble together and figure it out. What kind of dad do I want to be? And he's really stood right up to that. It's not backed away.
That's what he would say if you asked him, what is like your greatest accomplishment? He would be like, building this amazing family.
So today is Friday and the event's on Sunday, so a couple days out. So this year, it's not quite 1993, the Tropicana Cafe when I had one TV screen. A lot of expensive equipment up there.
The success of Tropfest gave him a lot of confidence, but I think he felt a certain responsibility to it that was maybe sinking him a little bit.
Having established himself in New York and coming back and trying to sort of keep it going. And then eventually that was an impossibility, that he couldn't do both things. So he handed it over.
And I had what I thought were good people running it. And then I remember about a month before the 2015 event, I got a call saying, hey, we don't have the money to put this on.
Tropfest has been cancelled this year due to a lack of funding.
Tropfest has been cancelled in what was supposed to be its 24th year running.
We were like $1 million in the hole. And meanwhile, the people running it sort of disappeared, stopped answering the calls, and it was a disaster. And I do take some responsibility for this, taking your eye off the prize a little bit, you know?
Not only did it fall over, I think it fell over literally 24 hours after I'd called all the filmmakers to tell them they were in. So we went from this massive high, and the next day that Tropfest had fallen over. That was a tough feeling.
John came back from America and like Tropfest was dead in the water.
Having the rug pulled out that there is no Tropfest this year, there may never be a Tropfest, was a devastating, devastating feeling. Yeah, that was the tough part for me. You know.
By the end of the week that he'd been here, he'd turned that around and had raised about $2 million in sponsors' money to get Tropfest back on its feet.
Welcome to Tropfest, everybody! We're back, babies!
He can surf chaos. He's learned to triage trouble.
He resurrected Tropfest, which was an amazing achievement. It was going great until COVID hit in 2019, and that really was the death rung, really, to it.
Publicly, I was kind of like, well, you know, it's run its course. But privately, I was like, really? Is it just dead?
We'd be talking and he would say, it doesn't sit well with me that this is not still happening. And he would meet Australians in New York or wherever, and they would say, what's happening with Tropfest?
You always felt like there was something where he was really sad, you know, for those years it didn't happen.
One dark moment was sitting at breakfast with my own kids, and they're saying, what happened to Tropfest? And they're like, dude, you realize it's gone. It's been 5 years, it's over. How did you do that?
I feel like I always wanted it to come back, even though thinking about Tropfest, I don't always remember it so well because the last one was 7 years ago.
They're a big reason why it came back, because they kept sort of talking about it. You guys wanted Taylor Swift to come and perform, and Olivia Rodrigo.
So I do remember he got this email overnight from Brian Brown, and it was, hey mate, let's talk about Tropfest, you know, what's happening with it.
We got on one Zoom, and it was Sarah Murdoch, Peter Volantis, and Brian and myself and Rich Weinberg. And it was music to my ears. They wanted to bring it back as a not-for-profit, which was perfect for me. They wanted to do Tropfest the way that I wanted to do Tropfest, but on steroids.
The world's biggest short film festival returns to Sydney. After a 7-year break, Tropfest is back and Hollywood is right behind it.
Putting his whole heart and soul into it again, it lights a fire in him. There's nothing really like it that I've seen him invested in so fully in the time that I've known him.
My team would probably say this guy's on every email, about every napkin. You know, those things are important to me. When you think about it, Tropfest is me personified as an event, right?
Hello, Centennial Park, and hello to everyone watching across Australia and around the world.
There was a lot of love for the fact that the festival came back this year. People were excited about it.
It's lovely seeing his enthusiasm for it again.
We had over 700 submissions this year from every corner of Australia, and I have to tell you, the quality was incredible.
He's not doing it alone. Like, I do think he's got proper partners now who understand what it can be, and so he feels very supported by them.
None of this would be possible without our new not-for-profit board, and for our incredible panel led by Margot Robbie.
That's the amazing thing. By it collapsing, the essential idea was so powerful and important that it rose up stronger.
Incredible night, great winners. We'll see you next year. Thank you.
I don't feel like a success story. I really don't. I'm not trying to be fake humble. I feel like I've got a long way to go, and I'm like, I don't see myself that way.
He had a pretty challenging childhood, but he never has used that as an excuse. If anything, it's given him a little more, fire, a little more drive to succeed.
I'm shooting a TV show here, but today is Saturday, so I got the day off. I'm gonna go flying.
Learning to fly a plane, that's when I really see him light up.
Flying for him, being in control of this thing really suits his personality.
If you want to stay alive and in flying, you've really got to be focused all the time.
John's love of flying exercises that level of focus and tenacity and will that brought Tropfest into being and has sustained it.
So now I have a moment to look at how beautiful it is up here. It's an incredible sense of freedom.
I think young John would be pretty impressed with how far he's come and then the life he's made for himself. It's pretty astounding.
We crave people that remind us that anything's possible, and Johnny is such great proof of that.